All right, all right, all right. What's up, folks? Let's get into this live we have here. So I'm back live. I wanted to touch on this one because I like aviation related shit. And I always wanted to find out what type of findings or preliminary stuff they came up in the investigation of this crash of that UPS MD-11. So MD-11 is one of the few tri-engine airliners that have been created for passenger service. So let's get into this plane. This is probably one of the best looking aircraft ever designed. Like how we talk about cars on here sometimes, going to car designs. As far as planes, some of the best planes, in my opinion, based on the look of the aircrafts, have been. I like the 757, like the MD-11, and the 747. Not big on the other tri-engine plane, the DC-10. These look way, way better than DC-10. Let's go into seeing what an MD-11 looks like. It's a tri-engine plane, McDonnell Douglas, built in Long Beach, California, along with the DC-10s. So these are aircraft that were once built in Long Beach before Boeing came about and brought all that shit up and turned the production lines in Long Beach into the military transport for the C-17. So yeah, your boy can talk shit. I can be on comical shit. Got my disrespect all the way up, but I do like to be on my nerd shit. True essence of South Central, not gang banging shit. So this is the MD-11. So this is what that plane looked like with all three of his engines. So you had the engine and tail and two on the single engines on each wing. So there we got there, taking off, looking beautiful in its flight. And that's how that flight should have looked. So I'm not even sure if this is the exact plane from where I got it. This may have been maybe the same plane that ended up being involved in this crash, a horrific crash on its takeoff. And I think this is like the second time this happened with these the tri-engine planes. I think in the 70s they grounded all them planes when they had the same similar incident as this one, where an engine came off. That was on a United plane. And that was almost what is 79? 79, 30 something years ago? No, that's 40 something years ago. So 40 something years ago, you had a DC-10 engine fall off. So let me go into uh, the viral videos that went out of this crash. So these pilots didn't even have a chance. These pilots didn't even have a chance when this shit happened. Multiple people died on the ground, 3 on the plane. What did they say? I'll read in the report. The report probably I think it was like 12 on the ground instantly. They probably didn't even know what hit them. They didn't even know it hit them. All that fuel burning their asses up. Like that was some tragic shit. Here was another one where a lucky ass truck driver. This right here, this truck driver this shit is gonna be in his brain forever.
Oh shit!
Look at that shit.
Oh my fucking
Look at it. He is gone. Not that far away from him. Not that far away from it. And I'm pretty sure post this crash, that damn truck driver is realizing how lucky he is. So you see here on this plane taking off, the engine just comes off, flying over the top of the wing. So that in the issue from '79, they had to where it was a maintenance issue related to them creating cracks in the pylon bolts. There was some bolts to the pylon, but let's get into it. Let me show the photos actually. So here are the 6 photos. So the airplane rotated for takeoff. Airport surveillance video of the airplane showed the left, which is number 1 engine, and pylon. Pylon, those attachments that that the engine hangs on from the wing, says separating from the wing shortly after airplane's rotation. Says with the fire igniting on the left wing, says while it traversed above the fuselage and subsequently impacted the ground. So you see figure 1 with it on. So the fire ignited near the area of the left pylon attached to the wing, continue until ground impact. So you see from the 6 images they have on here, and there you have it. So a lot of people probably like, damn, why they just didn't land? Because I think once the if you ever listen to, damn, should I play a video on Takeoff? If you ever watch like video on like you sit here, because there's a lot of pilots that upload video of them taking off, as you see them going through Takeoff in passenger planes, any plane, they do it where they'll yell out V1 and shit. Once you hit V1, that's the velocity one, whatever it is. Once you hit V1 speeds, you can't reject the takeoff. So that's the reason why they have to continue flying. And I think I think in the report it should say they announced that V1 shit. Once you pass V1, you get a few more miles, then you can rotate the plane. But once you hit V1, the plane's is as heavy as it's gonna fucking be, being all that fuel in it. It's a very heavy aircraft. Ain't no, it's a point of no return. So once they hit that speed, they gotta fly through it. And then usually these planes can fly if the engine go down, but like in that one for say night, because like I said, I done took courses on that aircraft accident investigation shit. Once the and then 79, I think once that engine came off and with the pilots trying to fight to keep the airplane flying, the issue is with like hydraulics and all that shit being ripped out of the plane and hydraulic system going out. So in figure 1, so we'll go through the figures. I'm gonna go back to the top of the report. Figure 1, still images from the airport surveillance show videos showing the left engine and pylon separation from the wing. Says the airplane initially climbed, says, but did not get higher than about 30 feet above the ground level, says, according to radio altitude data from the FDR. The FDR is that flight data recorder, says, based on FAA provided ADSB data, says the last data point showed 481 feet mean sea level, says, in 100 feet what is that above ground, says above ground level, says the airplane cleared the says it cleared the blast fence beyond the end of the runway at this is runway 17 right, says, but the left main landing gear impacted the roof of a UPS supply chain solutions warehouse at the southern edge of the airport, and you'll see that in figures 2 and 3. Says the airplane then impacted a storage yard, says, in 2 additional buildings, including a petroleum recycling. Damn, it hit a damn fuel tank, says, including a petroleum recycling facility, says, and was mostly consumed by fire. Says the wreckage area continued from the UPS warehouse to about 3,000 feet southeast of it, says southeast of it. The accident site debris was centered, and they give it a little coordinates, so longitude and latitude coordinates and shit to pinpoint it. There go some more images. That fire coming out is the fuel, which is carried in the wings, is just spewing out that shit, burning. And these pilots, man, don't stand a chance. I'm on the man. They gotta have the audio, because in that one from '79, when that plane, I'm gonna pull the video up on that one. You probably get it from the NTSB. Like I say, I had those papers we used to have to do on crash investigations. So I've seen some of these NTSB final reports and shit. What is that? What is that? How you say your name? Axis says he's okay. And then in the Pittsburgh T says UPS should not have been flying those old ass airplanes. That's not true. There's a lot of airplanes you fly on from the damn airlines that are just as old. Like airplanes can fly for a long time, but it's when you have the maintenance shit, they got to check them, and then they flying freight. So these planes are perfect for freight. That's where most of the you don't see airliners fly MD-11s no more. They fly the freighter companies use the mugs, and freighter companies usually use older aircraft. But this is an issue in maintenance. There had to be a maintenance issue. They grounded them like they did back in '79. That's what fucked the DC-10 up. The DC-10 got fucked up when that one crash happened. They had multiple other crashes, but not based on maintenance issue. The MD-11s and DC-10s had safe records, but once they had that issue with that crash, they end up the airlines stopped buying them. I think the issue with the MD-11, the airlines, they didn't the performance issues. They weren't getting the ranges out of them that they had promised the airlines when the airlines were purchasing them. They weren't flying as far. And then he said, what is that? FAA grounded all UPS and FedEx MD-11s. Yeah, because they got to finish doing them inspections. That's normal. That's like a normal practice, especially with older aircrafts. They did it back in the day. And then just like they did recently with Boeing's with the Boeing 737s, they grounded all those. Southwest had a bunch of their fleet grounded with new aircraft. Because remember, Southwest got in trouble. It's a lot of airlines that skip a lot of fucking corners. That's what happened in 79 when the plane did the same shit as this MD-11 back in 79. The airlines were cutting corners because I think in the final report when they were doing that shit, and then matter of fact, the dude who was over in the 79 crash, he killed himself. He killed himself from guilt of the airlines. Then all the airlines were doing the same shit. When they hear that United was able to bypass the correct way of installing those engines, because when you do C checks on these planes, which is the full strip down of the aircraft, they go all throughout the aircraft. When they do C checks on airplanes, that shit is almost like a reconstruction of the damn plane. They go through all that shit. And so when they were taking the engines off doing that shit, rather than doing the proper way that the manufacturer laid out the blueprint for the airlines installed, the airlines were using like a forklift, some shit that was not engineered for that shit. And they were finding they were bending the damn they were bending the bolts that go into that attach the damn engines onto that pylon and shit. And then that's what was happening. It created cracks over a course of however long the planes were able to fly because of the stresses on that shit. It broke that damn pylon. And then that's what they found out. And then when they grounded all the DC-10s. They ran inspections. They started doing interviews. People gonna do the whistleblowing shit. They find out that all the airlines were doing the same shit, cutting corners because it saved them about. Then what that report said? That report said something like they saved them, like, because they got documentaries on. I watched the documentaries a while ago on that shit. It was saving them like hours. It was saving them a certain amount of hours in time to install the shit so they can get these things completed. So this is aircraft accident is on November 4th, 2025. So that was, this happened, 16 days ago. Says about 17:14. So that's military time. That's like 5:14 Eastern Standard Time. Says UPS. Flight 2976 says a Boeing, or this is McDonnell Douglas. They say Boeing because Boeing brought McDonnell Douglas. MD-11 airplane. This is the tail number, N259UP. Says, wait, let me see that video. Do it show the plane's number? Because this might be that same plane. Let me see if they zoom in on. No, you ain't gonna see the numbers somewhere in the back. Let me see when that plane take off. If this is the same airplane. Yeah, I'm on round 2, Deuce, because I see they came out with the report on this. Let me see if this is the plane, if they catch the tail number. That should have been the first thing they filmed on this shit. I'm thinking it's the same plane, though. I think this is that exact plane and shit. But no, I can't. Whoever filmed this didn't get the tail number. Deuce Time says round 2. Absolutely. We on some airplane shit. You already know how I be with the planes. And he says, wait, where was he at? So McDonnell Douglas airplane, like I said, they used to make these in Long Beach. Says it was destroyed after it impacted the ground shortly after takeoff from runway 17 right at Louisville, Muhammad Ali International Airport, Louisville, Kentucky. The crew says the three crew members aboard the plane and 11 people on the ground were fatally injured. Or they wasn't even injured. Them fools was killed in the motherfucking instant. Says there were 23 others on the ground, says, who were injured. Flight 2976 was a domestic cargo flight operating under the provisions of a Title 14, and that's a CFR Part 121. And that's something we should pull up too. So it's always good to get what the CFRs are and shit. So this is shit that regulates air travel. Let's pull this shit up. Like I say, I'll be one of the people who look like me and just other people who ain't into that shit, because all this shit is out here on the internet to pull shit up and get understanding, stop running with conspiracies on bullshit you don't know about because you don't know where to look it up at. But let me go into CFRs because this is what most major airports operate under. Some of them Part 91, 121. That might deal some with freighting operations, and this is what regulates them. Let me see. I don't want to go into the whole thing. Let me see if this thing summarizes. Okay, here we go. Let's go into a summary of this shit. Let's go into what part 121. So CFR part 121. All right, so this is Title 14 of the CFR Part 121. It outlines the operating requirements for domestic, flag, and supplemental operations in aviation. It says this regulation is crucial for ensuring safety and compliance in commercial aviation. It includes provisions on flight time limitations, meaning regulations regarding the maximum flight hours and rest period for a crew to prevent fatigue, operational control, guidelines for the management of flight operations, including dispatch and flight training, maintenance, standards for the maintenance and inspection. They're going to fail on that shit. So they weren't regulating on that. Like I said, even with Southwest, like that wasn't even many years ago. That was in the 2000s. That was in the mid 2000s when Southwest had a bunch of their planes grounded and shit because they found out that the fuselage had cracks in them. Southwest was doing some old corner cutting shit on maintenance and shit. And I don't know if a company whistleblower broke that shit or how did that come about. And the FAA went in there and started doing investigations on Southwest and found out some of their planes had cracks in the fuselage. A lot of airlines are doing that shit. And then that's what makes it bad when you're dealing in the fucked up economy. You don't know what airlines doing. So this was a flight under CFR Part 121. Says from SDF to Daniel Inouye International Airport in Hawaii, Honolulu. Says in response to the accident, the NTSB traveled to SDF on November 5th, 2025, says and started the process of documenting the accident site and collecting the perishable data necessary for the investigation. As part of the investigative process, the NTSB invited qualified parties to participate in the investigation. It says these included the FAA, UPS, Boeing, Independent Pilots Association, General Electric, whose engines those are, and the Aerospace Teamster Airline divisions. It says parties were formed into specialized investigative groups led by NTSB group chairmen in the area of structures, systems, power plant, maintenance, air carrier operations, and human performance, hazardous materials, aircraft performance, materials, cockpit, voice recorder or CVR, and then the flight data recorder, FDR, says NTSB traffic controller, ATC specialist was on site to collect ATC information, says, but an ATC group was not formed, says, because they ain't got nothing to do with the ACC. Says NTSB board member, what is that? Inman says was the board member on the scene. The history of this flight. So what is SDF? I thought it's called Muhammad Ali Airport, or maybe that's the identifying markings for that airport. All right, so this UPS flight says received a takeoff clearance from the SDF ATC tower about 1711, so it's about 5:11. On the flight crew, the flight crew acknowledged the takeoff clearance. The taxi and takeoff roll were uneventful, says until the airplane rotated for takeoff. Airport surveillance video, and I think I read this part here. Airport surveillance video captures these images. Or this on video, these are images they take. Perfect engineer, that motherfucker flying right off in picture number 2. That shit snap. Oh man. I know them damn pilots' instruments probably going crazy. They probably heard that shit break. And then you can't see back there. So now all they got to rely on is the damn instruments and what they reading. It probably ain't nothing coming from over there. So they probably got them 2 engines. Who knows if something from this engine sucked into that middle engine. The middle engine probably did suck some shit in there. And maybe that shit went out too. And then now you have this plane dipping over to the right or to its left. They kind of straighten that shit out. Man, that had to be horrifying. I feel bad for these fucking dudes. That had to be some terrifying fucking shit. Oh my God. Damn, that had to be terrifying. Like to just be like, oh shit, what the hell is what the straighten it up? Why we oh my God. That is cold-blooded shit. Damn. RIP to these damn pilots, man. RIP. RIP to the people on the ground. You don't even got time to think about what happened. So here is figure two. So the fire in the area of the left pylon says attached to the wing, continue as the airplane cleared the blast fence. And that's those little things you see at the end of runways to stop these airplane engines from blasting your car clear across the damn lanes you're traveling on. So you see those little metal things at the end of the runway to deflect the blast from the engines. Because if they weren't there, the engines powerful enough to flip your car over and shit. So here is figure three, says graphic depending the flight track of the UPS flight based on the ADS. That's some surveillance shit. The 80 ADS is some automated surveillance shit. So that's dealing with the cameras at the airport, I guess. And this is the direction of travel, 3,000 feet. Then they made it 3,000. Oh, man, they probably lived through all of that shit knowing they about to just die. Oh man, they know they're gonna die. That airplane full of gas. Like I said, this is the plane the size of the ones that hit the damn towers. All that fuel in there. You are fucked. You are totally fucked. You just gotta fucking shove your head up your ass and kiss it goodbye because it is over with. Oh man, that's cold blooded shit. I would hate to have to be in the damn airplane crash. And I'll be always thinking that shit anytime I fly. But then you be like, you have to trust them damn pilots. But then it'd be like, damn, if this plane crash, that'd be my mindset. This airplane crash, I'll be thinking like, which way I'm gonna get out? Can I run to the back of this motherfucker? What the hell can I do? Oh my God. Damn, that's so sad. And they in the front of that mug just watching and knowing they moving them sticks and can't do shit. Figure four says accident site composite view, says created from aerial images overlaid on the Google Earth image, says the upper end of the yellow dashed bracket is the initial impact, says between the airplane landing gear and the UPS building. So that once that motherfucker hit that damn UPS building, it was over with. Says a witness in the SDF AT air traffic control tower says reported that the takeoff speed appeared normal. Says for the type of aircraft. Says however the climb rate was not normal as the airplane did not climb above the tower's height of says approximately 200 feet. Another witness reported that the airplane stopped climbing and began to lose altitude before rolling slightly to the left. The crew experience says so the captain who was the pilot monitoring says the pilot monitoring held an airline transport certificate says with a type rating for MD-11. The captain had accumulated about 8,600 total hours of flight experience as reported to the FAA, says of which 4,900 hours were in the accident airplane make and model. So he had 4,900 hours in MD-11s. Says the first officer says who was the pilot flying says held an airline transport pilot certificate says with a type rating for MD-11. Says the first officer had accumulated 9,200 hours of flight experience. So he had more hours than the damn captain. Shit, he must have been black. Yeah, he must have been a black damn pilot. He got more flight experience than the damn captain. All right, let me continue on. So since it reported to the FAA, says of which, he only had this many hours in the aircraft, of which 994 hours were in the accident aircraft make and model. So the relief officer, so this is that third pilot, says held an air transport pilot or an ATP certificate, says with a type rating for the MD-11, says the relief officer had accumulated 15,000 hours. Damn. He got more experience than all of them, 15,000 hours of flight experience as reported to the FAA, says of which 8,700 hours were in the MD-11. So this is the voice recorder. Let's see what the recorder got. Oh, it's probably got the motherfuckers in there screaming. I'll be hollering in that motherfucker. I want people to know when they listen to my shit. I'm in there screaming. Says the airplane was equipped with a flight data recorder and a cockpit voice recorder, which were both recovered from the accident scene and transported to the NTSB vehicle recorders laboratory in Washington D.C. Data from both the cockpit voice recorder and the flight data recorder were downloaded successfully. The cockpit voice recorder contained about 2 hours and 4 minutes of recorded data, including the entirety of the accident flight. Says the flight data recorder contained about 63 hours of data that spanned 24 flights, says including the accident flight. Flight data recorder recorded about 450 parameters of flight data. It says the flight data for the accident flight started about 17:07 Eastern Standard Time, or 5/7, with the takeoff roll starting about 17:12, which is 5. If I'm on my military time, right, I think that's 5:12 Eastern Standard Time. The flight data ended about 5:13. Says so. That's a minute. Man, that motherfuckers take off and die. The NTSB convened separate copy voice recorder and flight data recorder groups composed of qualified party members and transcribing the accident flight recording from the cockpit voice recorder and validating the flight data from the flight data recorder, respectively. This is the airplane and operation information. We can skip that. MD-11 was developed. MD-11 was developed from the DC-10 series of airplanes. Let's see, Louisville. This is talking about the company operates these 757, 767, A300s, MD-11, 747, 800s, which are the brand new planes. So look, UPS operates nothing but old ass aircraft. So it's like Pittsburgh T-Tar, the plane wasn't supposed to fly. All these planes are old. 757s are old. That's the one that plane that Donald Trump owns, which are those are pretty ass airplanes. 757s are beautiful as a motherfucker. I like the mugs. That's an old airplane. The 767-300 is old. The A300 is old as fuck. MD-11s are old. The 747-400s are old, and the 800s are brand new. Those are brand new planes. Let's see, MD-11 engine pylon to wing connection. I can skip that, or do I need to? Says the left, number one, and the right, which is number three, engines of the MD-11 airplanes are attached to undersided pylons that are in turn, let me highlight this blue, that are in turn attached to the underside of each wing. The center, being engine number two, says it's attached to the base of the vertical stabilizer, or that tail. Says the left and right pylons attached to their respective wings via a forward-mounted bulkhead. Says in thrust link assembly and an aft mount bulkhead. Says for simplification, says this report will refer to these bulkheads as the forward mount and aft mounts. Says the forward mount contains two spherical bearings that are vertically aligned, meaning up in the upper and lower, that attach to the wing. The thrust link assembly says located immediately behind the forward mount. The forward mount's lower spherical bearing says primarily transmits thrust loads. They probably fucked that mount up. Says the pylon aft mount is an assembly composed of two. I wish they had a picture of it, and I don't feel like going to. Okay, they do got a picture of it. Okay, perfect. Says the pylon aft mount says is an assembly composed of two independent fittings bolted together with lugs being forward and aft lugs that house a single spherical bearing. See in figure 5 and 6. And this is figure 5. They'll go into 6. We'll look over that shit. Says for this report, says reference to the pylon's aft mount spherical bearing includes both the bearing ball elements, being the spears, and the outer race. Says a clavis on the underside of each wing. Says the wing clavis connects to the pylon's aft mount via attachment hardware. So it's the pylon mount. You're showing how it hooks on the wings. You see that shit. If you see how the engines are mounted, so here is the left side pylon, so it shows the right side, the pylon, the opposite. So you got that forward, it says forward lug, aft lug, the wing clavis, and then the spherical bearing. So I guess the bolt goes through that shit. All right, let's see what else they got on here. All right, they got some actual pictures of what it looked like. So your wing, that heavy ass engine hangs onto this shit. This is probably some very, very strong ass shit. Says an exemplary installation of a pylon aft mount. Says to the wing clavis. Says the left mount. Says spherical bearing. Says obscured by the wing clavis. So you see forward lug, aft lug, front, back, the wing clavis to go back up in the diagram here. So you have the wing clavis there. See it up here. Boom, boom, boom. All right. Let me see. What's this? Recovery operation and wreckage information. What's in this? Boom, boom, fragments burned. So everything burned. They ain't gonna find shit. What are these pilot? What did they say the pilot said? So here they go looking at the lug. So that shit is sheared off. All that shit's broke. Yeah, the maintenance people fucked that up. The family about to get rich as hell. This family about to be rich. Let's see what they say. So the left wing. All right, figure 8. Which one? This is figure 8. That's figure 7. Says a separate left pylon. Says a separate left pylon after recovery. Says left image. And the left pylon aft mount says fractured forward of the aft lug. So this is the right end large. So the aft lug and the forward lug. So that shit broke right off, being an engine pulling out that shit. The left wing's clavis says fractured spherical bearing, says marked by the red bracket, says and the associated attachment hardware forward of the accident site. To the left says an exemplar spherical bearing. To the right, that's how the bearing should look over here on the right. They saying. So let me see what else we got. So they about to look at all that shit. These fools, they about to inspect all these planes. That's why they took these planes out of service. Because somewhere down the line, they fucking up in maintenance again. So let me see what says after initial cleaning. Okay, let me see what this. After initial cleaning of the fractured surface, examination of left pylon's aft lug fractures found evidence of fatigue cracks in addition to areas of overstressed failures. Says on the aft lug, says on both the inboard and outboard fracture surfaces, a fatigue crack was observed where the aft lug bore, says where the aft lug bore met the aft lug forward face. Says for the forward lugs inboard, for the inboard fracture surface, fatigue cracks were observed along the lug boards. Says for the forward lugs outboard fracture surface, the fracture consisted entirely of overstress with no indications of fatigue cracking. The forward top flange of the aft mount assembly was examined for indications of deformation or pre-existing fractures, but no indications were found. Boy, these fools be on their stuff when they be studying this shit. These fools that be studying all that metal, ergy, whatever that shit costs. The spherical bearing was removed. The spherical bearing was removed from the wing clavis for further evaluation, and that's in figure 10. Let's see what they talking about. Spherical bearing. They said stress fractures and all that other shit. So here go them lugs. So the spherical bearing and the attachment hardware after removal from the left wing clavis. These fools about to look into all that shit. So maintenance and inspection says at the time of the accident, let me highlight this. At the time of the accident says, or this is the tail number for this plane, says has accumulated a total of about 92,992 hours and 21,043 cycles. And the cycles meaning takeoff landing. So it's been, did they give a year this shit was made? Hold on. Let me see when this airplane was made. Boom, boom. Maybe they'll put that somewhere. But that shit, do they say when that shit was made? Well, where the fuck was made? That shit been flying, taking off and landing like a motherfucker. So let me go back. So it had 21,000 cycles. Says the action airplane was maintained under a continuous airworthiness program, or CAMP, continuous airworthiness maintenance program. Says review of inspection tasks for the left pylon aft mount found both a general visual inspection, or GVI. Says in the detail visual inspection of the left pylon's aft mount, required by UPS maintenance program at 72-month intervals. Says was last accomplished on October 28, 2021. A 24-month, 4,800 hour, what is that? Lubrication task for the pylon thrust links and pylon spherical bearings was last accomplished on October. Oh, so they recently did that shit. Less than a month, so 2 weeks before this shit crashed, it had, what was this inspection? Some lubrication shit. So the special detailed inspection, SDI, on the left pylon mount lugs would have been due at 29,000 cycles. And okay, so they had a lot more flights left. That's how reliable these airplanes are. Shit says in of the left wing clavis support would have been due at 28,000 cycles. The accident airplane's record showed these two SDI, or what is that called, special detailed inspections, tasks had not been accomplished, as the airplane had 21,043 cycles. Safety action, UPS grounded their, so this safety action, UPS grounded their MD-11 fleet on November 7, 2025 as a precautionary measure and at the recommendation of Boeing. Says the FAA issued Emergency Airworthiness Directive 2025 or 2025-2351 on November 8, 2025 that prohibited further flights or prohibited further flights of MD-11s and MD-11 freighter airplanes until they were inspected, and all applicable corrective actions were performed using a method approved by the FAA's Continued Operational Safety Branch, or the AIR. Says the FAA subsequently issued an Emergency Airworthiness Directive, or AD, blah, 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 2025-23, November 14th, which superseded the emergency AD. Says it included both MD-11 and DC-10 series airplanes. Says the latter based on their similar design to the MD-11. MD-11 is just longer than that mug, different engines, all that other shit in cockpit. Here go that old accent. So this is the accent, similar event. There we go. It's in there. Now I ain't got to pull that shit up. I ain't got to pull up on the DC 10 one where the maintenance people fucked it up. So on May 25th, 1979, says about 1504, or what that time would be. 1504 is 304. 304 is Central Daylight Time. American Airlines Flight 191, MD DC-10 McDonnell Douglas DC-10 aircraft has crashed into an open field just short of a trailer park. It says about 4,600 feet northwest of the departure end of the runway 32R. This is at O'Hare in Chicago. Flight 191 says was taken off from runway 32 right. Says, and the numbers for the airplane is based on direction. So when you see the runway numbers, that's pointing in the direction. You just take a zero off. So whatever 320 degrees is, that's what that is. The right runway versus left. So it's the what is that? The 360 degrees, it just points you in that direction. So that's what their headings would be on when you see runways. So they ain't just making up the numbers for runway 23 right, 23 left is the direction it's pointed in. So the weather was clear and the visibility was 15 miles. During the takeoff rotation, says the left engine and pylon assembly, says in about 3 feet of the leading edge of the wing, so the front part of the wings, leading part of the left wing separated from the airplane and fell to the runway like this one. Flight 191 says continue to climb to about 325 feet. Says and then began to roll to the left like this plane. Says the airplane continued to roll to the left until the wings. Oh, I got to show the picture. Wait, do they got a picture on this one? You got to see the picture of flight 191. That's the last picture they saw. I'm gonna show that shit. Says, wait, let me see where we was at. Says the airplane continued to roll to the left until the wings were past the vertical position. Says during the roll, says the airplane's nose pitched down. So that motherfucker doing a cartwheel now. Says pitched down below the horizon. Flight 191 crashed into an open field and the wreckage scattered into an adjacent trailer park. Says the airplane destroyed in the crash and subsequent fire. 271 persons aboard Flight 191 were killed. 2 persons on the ground were killed, says, and 2 others were seriously injured. Says an old aircraft hangar, says several automobiles and a mobile home were destroyed. The NTSB investigated their American Airlines 191. So, you got to go into that report. I ain't going to go into that shit. I done kind of broke what happened down. They blame that shit on maintenance. And now this is just preliminary investigation. They don't go into that other investigation, find out what these damn people was doing in that damn maintenance shit, and seeing that they probably repeating the same cycles of cutting corners for maintenance to hurry up and get through to save the company money. Because that's what they were doing in the past when that 191 crashed. Developing ways of saving the company time and money to get through these long ass then what they call them C inspections or class C inspections, whatever it's called. Let me see. Boom, boom, boom. But let me go on that flight 191 picture. Flight 191. Where's that shit at? Boom, boom. That shit is similar. That's why when this accident first happened and seeing that shit, I had thought about this shit. This shit was exactly the same as this damn was exactly the same as that damn flight. Where's this picture at? Hold on. Let me go. Oh, they got a YouTube. Let me see. Matter of fact, pull this YouTube video up. Oh, wait. Hold on. That's my goddamn video. The hell? Wait, hold on. Let me skip this ahead. Oh, let me see. Here we go. Let me see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure these families got broke
A
off.
second honeymoon, as they called it. They boarded American Airlines Flight 191 with 269 other people. It was set to depart at 3:04, loaded with enough jet fuel to get from Chicago to Los Angeles.
The O'Hare Airport Control Tower gave routine clearance to an American jetliner, Flight 191.
As the aircraft reached takeoff speed, the primary engine peeled off, damaging both the wing and hydraulic systems.
Moments later, as seen from the
Look at that shit. So the plane got a little bit higher than that.
Channel 9 helicopter, the plane
Yes, one. Look at that airplane. Imagine that shit.
Systems.
Moments later,
and you aboard this motherfucker. Imagine you own this plane sitting out your window and that motherfucker just do this. You just staring straight at the ground. Oh my God. Helicopter, you a little bit too low flying past this mug. So you own the plane. So imagine you on the other window. If you on the plane with that wing going down, you looking straight at the ground. These fools, they should be in a seatbelt. Maybe the seatbelt's even broke. If you're a heavy motherfucker, the plane door, you done slam. Oh my God. Woo wee. Dang, look at that mug. See the smoke coming out that shit? Lordy Lord, he says that link says it's for the people, says that want to follow Reggie, says what he's reading. And then Hype says middle engine says sucked in some debris, says and started felling. Yeah, I that's the only thing I can think is that middle engine definitely sucked in some shit. And definitely probably flared out on their ass.
As seen from the Channel 9 helicopter, the plane smashed into a field just north of the airport runway.
It was something bad.
The plane had taken off, but quickly dipped and rolled to the left. It was in the air for just 31 seconds.
31.
This
dudes, I got to show you the crash that happened near Geraldine House in Cerritos. Watch this one.
Image caught the plane essentially sideways, with one wing pointed toward the ground and the other pointed toward the heavens.
Oh my God. You in that side looking up at the sky, like, damn, when this fool gonna stop turning this motherfucker? That's what. Oh, but if you buy the wing, oh God damn! If your seat is right here where the engine is, I love to sit by the damn engines, and you flying and watch the engine just go woof. What are they saying in this airplane right now? Oh my God. Oh my God. That's why I don't fuck with conspiracies on bullshit, because this type of shit be really happening. And I be thinking, like, what do people, I think that's why I be intrigued by this kind of shit. It's like, what is going through your mind? Because you're not dead, so you looking at this shit. Like, wait, what the hell is happening? Hey, flight attendant, tell this motherfucking pilot he turning the wheel a little bit too much, man. Tell him to straighten that damn stick up there, man. Fool doing a cartwheel in this mud. Oh my God. And you looking straight at the ground. And your brain probably ain't got enough time to even process pain. You glad to die that way. You are glad to just die instantly. And then it's fucked up. You can't even have a funeral. All these people are burnt. All these people burnt the fuck up. Oh my God. Look at that shit. Look at that. You sitting in the seat over the wing and you watch the engine just go whoop, like, God, make it quick. Oh my God. God, please, God, make this one quick. Let me not feel it. Send me up to the heavens gates. Oh my God.
Just before it plunged into a field off of Toohey Avenue and exploded in flames.
This huge cloud of smoke, that it was a catastrophic event.
All 271 people on the plane and two others on the ground had been killed.
But the disaster plan was a useless effort. There were simply no survivors.
The largest loss of life in aviation history.
It's kind of like somebody disappeared, just disappears into thin air.
Kim Jockle, Melody Smith, and Jim Borchers lost both of their parents in an instant. The pain, of course, lingered much longer. As the years turned to decades, they realized they were searching for something.
I think you're searching for a completion for your agony.
There's no closure. It takes a long time for closure.
In fact, it wasn't until 1999 that they could even visit the crash site.
There's 273 different stories and how it impacted all those lives.
So Jockle and Smith started looking for the other survivors.
We tried so hard to get in contact with reporters.
No, nobody want to hear all that shit. Hold on, where they going to the investigation?
Their school in West Rogers Park, where the father of one of the teachers was a first responder at the crash site.
We end up telling the story to the students about
real in a nation.
Hold on. Where's the outcome? That's why I want to find the outcome to. Oh, let me find this one. Oh, let me find Flight 191. Wait, hold on. Now I'm gonna pull up this one by Geraldine House. This one in Cerritos. Let me pull this one up. Hold on, this out there where. Let me pull this old footage up. A lot of people never heard of this one neither. The plane, it crashed in all these homes out there in Cerritos and shit.
A black box from the jet was recovered.
It was a gruesome task this Labor Day as workers sifted through the wreckage.
They was finding passengers dead all on top of people's homes. Look at all this shit. Killed these people in their house.
of what was once a quiet, serene neighborhood. From the early morning hours on, bodies of the victims were pulled out from underneath tons of twisted metal and debris, and workers perhaps more accustomed to saving lives could only load the body bags and stretchers, one by one, again and again.
My dad, my sister, and my brother were in the house.
Damn, they done lost his family. Imagine you just sit in your house. There was a holiday, I think they said, when this shit happened. So people are all at home and shit. And the airplane gets, because the airplane, watch, they're going to show a little airplane. They going into a landing in San Diego. A little airplane crossed under there and caused this shit.
The plane hit, the wall fell on him, and he woke up and just saw everything messed up, and he jumped out the window and started running across the street. And one of the neighbors came.
How did your mother get out?
She was grocery shopping.
Frank Estrada's father, brother, and sister are believed to be among the dead.
Damn.
There are many others, and the search continues. The search for bodies continued throughout the day, but it was complicated by many things, not the least of which was a gas leak that sent rescue workers scurrying away from the area. That leak was capped, but workers faced such obstacles throughout the day. Heavy machinery had to be brought in to move pieces of the plane.
And then it was some foul shit. Because I was watching, I think it's in one of these videos, people was coming to this area to come steal out these people's homes and shit.
And help speed the recovery process. Both the cockpit voice and flight data recorders were recovered by investigators, as well as the tail section from the Aeromexico DC-9. All three are considered to be crucial pieces of evidence for the probe to be conducted by the National Transportation Safety Board.
Man. Oh, that's what happened. The plane, that little plane, cut that shit off.
The other side of those houses, apparently the tail broke off and sailed clear over those houses.
Accompanied by Sheriff Sherman Block, Governor George Deukmejian toured.
Oh, there go whole ass Sherman Block. Sherman Block, a piece of fucking shit. Matter of fact, while we on that, I'm gonna pull up Sherman Block. Let me see. There's so much history in this old shit. Let me see. Sheriff Sherman Block. Let's see. They got controversy on him. I think I heard like he was a little racist ass motherfucker too. So he before Lee Bach, what's the name? Lee Baca, who's sitting in prison and shit. Let me see. All right, let me finish that video.
The devastated area.
That's the old sheriff in that
the aftermath of LA's worst air crash ever.
It's shocking.
He must be the mayor of Cerritos.
And it's very sad, but we'll certainly.
In Cerritos, I'm Mark Trump. Aid will be made available.
Look at all these phones.
Cerritos City
available that they need.
The governor said, although Cerritos City officials haven't asked for it, disaster aid will be made available for the victims whose losses are just beginning to be felt. In Cerritos, I'm Mark Trike, Channel 9 News.
Early reports from the National Transportation Safety Board indicated that the DC-9 was cleared for landing and it entered special designated airspace following directions from the control tower. However, at the same time, the Piper may have drifted into that restricted airspace. Eyewitnesses say the small plane struck the jet. A short time ago, the NTSB held a news briefing. Officials say the jet pilot was warned about the small plane.
The controller asks or tries to communicate with
Aeromexico
to give them a turn, and over the next 2 minutes and 20 seconds approximately, makes 8 attempts to contact Aeromexico, all to no avail. The controller then
airplane on the ground
has asked an incoming flight to look for any evidence of a problem, and they then spot smoke both in the sky and coming up from the ground.
Damn.
A drug test has been ordered for the air traffic controller who was guiding the Aeromexico planes B. Extensive.
Angela, that person committed suicide.
That they have found locations called the flight.
A lot of these people be involved in them crashes, be killing themselves.
And last night at the
let me see. They're gonna show that
spending their
basically been
they kicked up. Oh, let me find this one where they show that plane. Man, that shit top was sheared off. Hold on, let me see. Okay, here we go. Man, they said that motherfucking the family, because a dude in the little plane that hit this shit, they said that fool his family heads got cut off because they hit the tail section of the passenger plane. and they plane floated into a they plane floated. I think my little brother ended up going to the same school. This plane landed perfectly with the whole top missing. And the people who responded to the thing, I'm gonna find their video. They said when they responded, everybody's head was cut off. Oh, let me see if it's
kind of
one of these.
tragedy to report tonight. In the middle of a sunny day, in the
I think
middle
this
of
video
a holiday
shows this.
weekend, a small plane collided
I
with an
forget what
Aeromexico jet
holiday
over
they
a
said this shit
middle-class
was.
neighborhood. There are no survivors. At least
Oh yeah, this is the
72
video.
people
Got the
have been
plane.
killed,
Watch.
64 on
Oh,
the
this is perfect.
DC-9 jet, 3 on the private plane, and at least 5 on the ground. Here's what it looked like shortly after the wreckage came crashing through the quiet neighborhood of Cerritos. The planes collided shortly after noon. Burning wreckage scattered everywhere. Homes and lives destroyed, an entire neighborhood looking as if it had just been bombed. Cerritos, about 30 miles southeast of downtown Los Angeles, surrounded by larger communities such as Norwalk and Buena Park and Artesia. The specific area where the debris scattered is near 183rd Street and Carmenita. Flames from the crash could be seen from the nearby Artesia freeway. We have extended coverage of the disaster.
Now we begin with Dave Lopez, who's been at the scene of the disaster all afternoon. He's been talking with eyewitnesses, with firemen.
And just look how fucked up the barbers used to do people's hair back then. Damn, this was a top-notch cut for a black person back in the day. Man, the barbers wasn't shit back then.
National Transportation Safety Board, everyone involved in any way. And Dave is still in Cerritos. We go to him now for this live update. Dave.
Looking down the street, Home Street, where...
Remember, hey, CJ, I don't know if you remember yesterday, I was talking about the old police cars. Look how old this police car. The sheriffs used to go through a lot of different police cars. Look at this old
much of that plane crashed.
You get out the
we
way.
just finished talking to a spokesman from Aeromexico who told us that the last stop of that flight was in Tijuana. He also told us that he believes the majority of the passengers on board were tourists returning from a holiday in Mexico. He said that the majority of the names are Hispanic, but of course that doesn't mean much these days, whether they are from Mexico, whether they are...
Look, still into this old racial shit, whether you're from Mexico or not. This is in, what, 89?
People from the Southern California area, just by looking at the names, could not tell if most of the people were from Mexico or from here. But he did believe that most of them were tourists returning from that vacation spot. The plane was due to land at LAX at 12:05. He said that there had been contact with the pilot in the tower about 20 minutes prior to that. Everything was fine. The pilot said everything was on course and he was going to be making...
Oh, man, this in Cerritos, they going to LAX. They probably 5 minutes away from the damn airport. And this stupid-ass pilot cut these fools off. Damn. I'll tell you, that's got to be some fucked up shit to be in the plane. And there's a photo somebody took of this plane doing the same. Oh, my God. The screams on that shit, and best believe them flight data recorders record all that shit, so they hearing that shit. Oh man, hey, send a prayer, a moment of silence for these people, man. God damn. Oh man.
The landing at 12:05. Then they didn't hear anything. They started hearing rumors, and they said there was shock and disbelief that it was the Aeromexico plane. We have some tape of what this neighborhood looked like shortly after the impact, the crash, 11:53 precisely. And people who heard it said it sounded like a couple of...
Tore them people homes, and that plane went right through a wall and shit.
Bombs exploding. One man said he thought it was an earthquake. You are now looking at part of the fuselage.
That's up there where the pilots were sitting at. So they them pilots, oh my God, the pilots is definitely fucked up in there. Damn.
Plane came down, from what witnesses have told us, on its back. It hit a home. It hit the edge of a house, crashed into 6 other homes, and then there was fire all around. People began running from their homes. People began screaming, trying to find out just who was in these homes, where they...
Body bags. Look at all them body bags. Just bodies everywhere.
An unbelievable situation. People started coming into the neighborhood. A few women actually fainted when they saw what was...
Look at that. The engine.
There. Carmenita, bodies were strewn all up and down Carmenita. Again, you're taking a look at all this.
Another body bag here. Probably burnt the fuck up.
Almost instantaneous fire, according to most of the people that we have talked to. One man told us that he actually saw a man pulling 3 children out of a house. We have now confirmed that that did happen, that the injuries were only minor. A couple of firefighters were injured, twisted ankles. One suffered some burns. This neighborhood, a very quiet normal neighborhood, about the only way you can describe it, and it is in shock. I have one man who has to be described as a hero because he pulled out a 14-year-old boy, Wayne Nelson. So Nelson, your house is all but destroyed, is that correct?
Half my house was burned, I guess, by the fire. It was not hit by the plane. The house next to us was hit by the plane. We heard it coming down.
I'm gonna show that
Tremendous
photo.
roar, the engines. It exploded. It hit. It exploded. It was all I could do to get my family out of the house. I thought that was the end of it.
Now, how was it that you rescued the young 14-year-old boy?
Well, we got out of the house. We got out of our house. And I didn't really know what had happened. I knew something bad had happened. But I ran around to the other side
people on
to
the
see it.
ground
All I saw was where the house used to
15
be.
on the ground died, 8 injured.
And I'm standing there in disbelief, wondering what to do. The
64
fire was
on that
tremendous. And then I saw the youngest boy kind of stumble out of the wall there. I went back and I got him. I helped him out.
Do you know his name?
Alex. Okay.
That's
Thank you
the
very
one of that older kid who was talking.
Stories like that all over. People helping other people. This neighborhood's in shock, and it's going to be quite a while before they find out how many people are in that debris.
Look at the old ass police car. I was hoping he would have stepped out the way a little bit. You see, look at the old ass Volvo back there. That was probably a luxury car back then. Like we was talking the other day, we was talking the car shit on the on that last live we did over on Twitch. We was going in the cars, how they didn't have many luxury cars and all that shit out there. And I remember talking about seeing all the different cars the police department. But that's a Volvo. That was like a nice car from back in the day there.
Are any? We now have confirmed at least five on the ground killed. It could climb. I'm Dave Lopez reporting live from Cerritos.
15
David, good day. And this evening, dozens of National Transportation Safety Board
air with a small engine plane.
They were that little plane.
It happened in this quiet Cerritos neighborhood. The Aeromexico DC-9 collided mid-air with a small engine plane, then plunged headlong into people's homes, cutting a path through roofs as residents watched helplessly.
Just a giant explosion occurred, and there was a big flame.
And Cerritos is nice. You look at these homes; these some nice ass homes for back. This is '86.
And after the flame, the heat attacked all these houses, and fire was going everywhere. And
my little brother went to elementary school. This is where a bunch of my relatives end up going to school. And
straight and just broke into houses and trying to get people out.
I thought it was an earthquake. I just saw wooden pieces bursting.
I cannot see anything. When I saw that,
a lot of Asians
and I called 911 and it's busy.
Rico Uribe could hear the terror.
We heard people moaning and screaming and kids.
He was standing in the middle of this street when he heard the screams and the moans, and the sounds were coming from that house. It was where the DC-9 finally stopped, but nothing could have saved the people screaming inside. The explosion and a ball of flame leveled the homes and left only pieces of the DC-9 intact. The three people inside the small engine.
They were that little plane, look, landed right in the school field. The whole top shredded off that shit. So that go right into what they described happened. That fool flew in the path of that plane, knocked the big plane's tail section off on that DC-9, which has the little T-shaped tail in the back. I'll show a photo of that. And I think they interviewed this dude who showed up. He gonna say what he saw. He gonna say when he showed up, all these people's heads were cut off. So I think
the plane could not save themselves either. They spiraled downward nose first, crashing 3 blocks from the DC-9 in this Cerritos Elementary School field.
There was an off-duty officer that came up, and I told him, yes, they're deceased, and there's just no way.
The wreckage stretched for miles. In it, the firemen found plane seats. One found a child's shoes. And as investigators arrived to piece together why all this happened, the people who live here can only relive the nightmare. This family discovered it returning home from church. In their shock, several who saw it happen pointed out that the plane was flying unusually low before the crash. It'll be up to investigators to see if all of that checks out.
Now, and again, you were one of the first reporters out there on the scene.
Yes.
A lot of people are expressing surprise that emergency crews were there so quickly. Is that what?
That is unusual. It appears that the tail section severed from the Aeromexico jet. We've seen it 1.75 miles east of the impact of the fuselage. It appears that severed in air. Witnesses have said they've seen it, in fact. When that happens, the plane loses its rudder. It can no longer steer, and pilots I've spoke to this afternoon tell me when a plane loses its aerodynamics, it's as much as hitting a brick wall and it goes straight down.
Oh,
Now, while that was quite unfortunate, obviously, for the airliner, it meant that many in this neighborhood were probably saved, because we don't see much the same destruction we often see in this type of airplane crash, where a plane will almost skid into its crash point. In this case, a very congested, quiet neighborhood. So it was fortunate that the plane went straight down. Now, the other information I have to tell you is with 2 interviews with 2 eyewitnesses. The first is a pilot who was in the air. He was at about 1,500 feet. He believes he saw the impact almost instantaneously. A flash caught his eye. He looked over. The second witness was on the ground. He, too, was a pilot. He says he was about 3 miles away. Both those witnesses, pilots experienced, say they believe the Aeromexico jet was certainly no more than 4,000 feet in the air, possibly as low as 3,000. Now, they say all due caution in that their angles, the relative judgment is certainly thrown off, but these are pilots. They believe it was at least 4,000 or below at that point. Now, we're told also by pilots, those 2 as well as others, that it's customary to be 6,000 or 7,000 in an approach to LAX. From this vantage point, it is legal to be as low as 4 and 3 if, in fact, the controller brings you that low. We have no idea at this point, of course, if the Aeromexico jet was told to be that low. And again, it's speculation that he was, but 2 experienced pilots say he was 4 or below. Now, the one pilot on the ground said he saw the private plane, coming at a horizontal spin right side up. And he feels that if the pilot was conscious, he would have been able to pull out of it and bring his plane down safely. On the other hand, the pilot who was in the air and saw the collision, or just after the collision, believes that the jetliner was coming down almost vertically, at most perhaps a 20-degree angle. And that would coincide with what we said earlier, that the tail section had been severed, apparently in the air, and that at that point a plane loses all rudder and it's like hitting a brick wall and goes straight down.
What he saw with
the final point is the pilot in the air believes that the collision was probably head-on or almost head-on, that if the 2 noses didn't collide, then perhaps the private jet or private plane hit one of the wings, but both coming at each other in a head-on manner. Bill and Jose, back to you in the newsroom.
Okay, Jim, thanks a lot. Now, we will have more live coverage of the Flight 498 disaster over Cerritos when we continue,
including a live report from the LA airport where relatives waited for a flight.
Now, I'm trying to find this one interview. The one interview where the dude talk about the victims who we saw where that plane chopped off these people's heads and shit. That was the plane that caused the accident.
Coming in, of course, I was scared for my kids, wanted to get them out of the way, and then I watched it go down and disappear over these houses and explode. And I can keep seeing it over and over in my mind and thinking the people that were on board and the people that are in the houses here that never stood a chance, trying to get out of their houses, trying to scramble, get in their, family and trying to get out the door that never made it.
Officials from the National Transportation Safety Board are here to search for the cause of the crash, but the priority is recovering what's left of the victims.
Imagine living on
We're
that damn
block here, but investigators from the National Transportation Safety Board apparently have wrapped up most of their on-scene investigation. You can see there are bulldozers behind me. They're clearing out the rubble now. The cars have been removed. It's going to take, according to those investigators, 8 to 10 weeks before they can determine the exact cause. And it's going to take some time before the coroner's office apparently is going to be able to give us any positive identification. Bodies of what appear to be residents were mixed with the passengers. We do know, as I reported, that there were 3 people in one home not far from here, Frank Estrada and 2 of his teenage children who were killed. As to the rest, there was a family reunion in the home behind me. There were 7 people there. They haven't been seen. They're presumed dead, but no confirmation on that. Reporting live from Cerritos, I'm John North. Now back to you.
Thank you, John. We have said it before, television can do the job, but you almost have to be there to believe the devastation in that particular neighborhood. We have also heard how it happened, but the question remains tonight, why did this happen? How and why did this tragedy occur when the 2 planes ended up on a collision course that ended in that disaster yesterday? Investigators have been on the scene all night. Today, they began putting together some of the pieces of the puzzle. but officials are still uncertain whether the small place was in the wrong airspace. The Aeromexico jetliner had apparently been given
I'm
a
looking for
chance
one more
or a
video,
clearance,
then
I
I'm
should
off
say,
of
to
this
land
one.
just before the collision with the small plane. Our Mark Coogan has been following the investigation. He's in Buena Park right now, and he joins us live with the very latest on that. Mark?
Harold, the federal investigators are reluctant to make any conclusive statements, but they are saying it is a reasonable assumption that the Piper Cherokee, which was the small plane involved in yesterday's crash, had strayed into restricted airspace that is reserved for commercial airliners operating in and out. Much intact, but the cockpit was sheared off at school, as you saw yesterday, on the grounds of an elementary school, Cerritos Elementary School.
I think my
It
little
was
brother
pretty much
went to that
intact, but the
elementary for a
cockpit was
while.
sheared off,
Oh,
apparently
no, he
from
went
the
to middle
collision
school there. I'm
with
tripping.
the tail section of the larger plane, the Aeromexico jet. And today, here behind a backstop at a baseball field on the school ground, sheriff's deputies were guarding the small plane's transponder, which is a device like a locating beacon. The federal investigators explained that small planes need a transponder to flash a special code to air traffic controllers when small planes are allowed to enter the terminal control area at LAX, an area of airspace that is layered like an upside-down wedding cake and normally reserved for commercial planes.
In it, even if the weather conditions are VFR, visual flight rules, prevail, you must have a clearance from air traffic control to operate in that airspace. And among other things, there's a requirement for an operating mode C transponder in any aircraft which are cleared into and can operate in that airspace. Los Angeles has a terminal control area around it. To the best of our information thus far, the collision occurred in the terminal control area between the altitudes of 6,000 and 7,000 feet, which is all that exists out here at this distance from the airport where the collision actually occurred. The best information
There
that
you
we
go.
have
Piece of shit.
airspace.
They arrested. Still in
Today
the
was
shit.
the first full day federal investigators had to comb through the
This
wreckage at the
Stephen
main
S.
crash site. Yesterday, they found the tape that records conversations in the jetliner's cockpit. They are still looking for the flight data recorder aboard the aircraft. There were 2 men arrested yesterday for looting at the scene of this
Fucking
disaster. They
pieces
were
of
arrested
shit.
for
They
going
should have
through the
beat them
wreckage
fools'
and hunting
ass.
up souvenirs, and they're about to be charged with a felony, according to the show.
At people whose homes just got destroyed, probably dead and shit. These pieces of shit over there, stealing and shit, breaking in the just walking in destroyed homes, taking shit. I'm looking for that dude who found the little plane. He gonna describe what he saw when he said he knew the people were dead, and he said that where is this one at? Where he stated where he was at he had walked over once he found the plane in the schoolyard, and he said that they were that the tops of the passengers were sheared off, like the plane sliced right through these fools. Let me see, because it was a father who was flying the plane, his wife. But let me show this shit real quick. The photos that somebody snapped a photo of it. And these are the last images of that shit. So it's missing the tail. Matter of fact, a similar accident, similar to this one, the Cerritos one, happened in San Diego like some years before that. What was the name of this? San Diego. It's got it because it's similar to this. How the flight 199 from 79, similar to the MD-11 one from 2 weeks ago. They had a San Diego one. I think the same thing. I think a plane cut in front of that one too. But let me see. Where's that San Diego one? Let me find that shit. These people got a cool ass job. So that's what happened. It sheared off. It was right in the line of sight of the tail for this DC-9. Sliced right through these people. This dude ain't paying attention. Crossed where he wasn't supposed to go. But broke the whole tail of the passenger plane. Them people was over with. But let me see. Where's that other flight? Oh, here it go. So the Pacific, that's it. The Pacific Southwest flight. Another little plane hit that one too. In one photo, that one killed the bunch. I think this is like the deadliest crash in America. And that one killed That one killed 135 in the plane, and then it hit some homes too. And it killed 7 people on the ground. Let me find that interview. I'm looking for this one interview from over at the school. I'm trying to find that. Like, that shit had to be tragic, man. Imagine just being in the house and a damn plane land on your shit. Oh, that's what I'm looking for. I gotta pull up Sherman Block. I want to get into the thing on punk ass LA Sheriff Chief Sherman Block. Let me go into him. All right, here go photos of that plane in the school. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'm glad they came out with that damn report. Yes. And that video is somewhere in between all these other videos from this channel, Cerritos 86. Cerritos 86 is the channel that all the content is related to this crash. Let me see. 3 people on that plane. That dude was like, man, he walked up to the plane. He was like, man, everybody was missing their head. Let me see. Yeah. Man, that gotta be just all bad. By the time you look up, it's over. They moving so damn fast. They moving so fast you can't even. There's nothing you can do except. Let me see if he talks about it. Okay, here we go. I found the video. Bam. Here we go. This is the video I'm looking for. There we go.
No, it was
extraordinarily rapidly given the
This is the one I'm looking for.
great extent of the damage.
So this is the channel here. It's channel Cerritos 86.
This is
which
what
is
we
the
know
year
right
that
now about
that
that small
flight.
plane involved in the crash. Police are saying there were 3 people aboard, 2 females and a male. No one survived the crash. It's still not clear. There's been a lot of confusion about this. Still not clear what type of plane it was. We know it was a single-engine plane, 3 aboard killed. It came hurtling down from the sky, some said almost in a direct nosedive down, landing upside down on a playing field at Cerritos Elementary School, that field we told you about earlier, where a Little League game was in progress at the time. Police believe that all 3 victims were from Seal Beach.
Our Dave Lopez has been at the scene in Cerritos where most of the tragedy occurred, where most of the airliner apparently dropped, and where the fires have been so intense and difficult to fight. Dave, what's going on there right now?
Well, it's at the scene, 17,900 block of homes, and as you can look down, you can see what is left of the street. What they have asked us to do, we have moved from our previous location because they are bringing in equipment and more men, and they want to start digging through all that debris, all that rubble, to make certain that there are no bodies in there. And again, earlier, one official from the fire department made it very clear that they do expect to find bodies. Now, he would not say why or where he got that information, but they are now, as best they can, digging through all that debris. There have been a few neighbors, as you mentioned, we saw on tape, who have come to this neighborhood and have found their loved ones. They weren't at home. The number of homes involved, 15 homes badly damaged, 6 totally destroyed. One eyewitness did tell us that the plane, the Aeromexico, actually landed on its back, clipping a rooftop of one of the homes and then smashing into the other 6. We do have another eyewitness who was right near the small plane. His name is Richard Landreth. Richard, first of all, clarify for us. You were right there. You live right there. Was there a baseball game going on the field?
No, there wasn't. It was purely empty.
Okay, this is the interview I'm looking for from him.
I was in my backyard, and I noticed that boom, 2 sudden booms. I was under my patio, and I looked to my right, which blocked my view, so I couldn't see nothing else. When I looked to my left suddenly, I saw this single plane, small plane, coming out of the air, twirling like a whirlybird. And at that time, my first thought was, it's coming down pretty slow. You can make it over there in time, maybe to pull someone out of the wreckage. and I'm only 2.5 blocks away. And when I did reach the wreckage, I was the first one there, and there was just no chance of survival.
How close did you get to the plane?
I was like from me to you, sir. And
There's no fire?
There was no fire. That's what really amazed me. There was no fire. There was no really big fumes. I was for a minute there engulfed by the alcohol, the fumes, and I suddenly got a little dazed. That's why I walked away from the plane. But before I walked away, I saw the three bodies actually, and there was an off-duty officer that came up, and I told him yes, they're deceased, and there's just no way about it.
Did you in any way know that there was another plane involved, an Aeromexico jet or any kind of jet?
Yes. When I was running down the street, I noticed a lot of black smoke coming up over here by my friend's house. With that, I knew there's just no way that I could reach over there to even help anybody. I'm not saying that there was going to be any survivors. I just noticed there was black smoke and there was going to be a lot of havoc. So my first instinct was to run over to where the small plane was landing, because I noticed where it landed in this general direction. And when I did reach that area, it was pointing south. The driver was pointing south towards the beach, and there was just no surviving. And at that time, all I could do was just pray for him, and the officer just started directing traffic out of the school.
Richard, thank you very much for telling us about that. Again, we've just talking to Richard Landreth, who actually saw the smaller plane, the Piper Prop, I guess, for lack of a better way.
Where he talked about he saw them with no. It's another interview he did with probably another news network. He said when he got over there, their heads were missing and shit. But let me see. Where's this other one with Sheriff Block? I want to look up on his bigoted ass. And I was saying something. So this is Sheriff Block, who ended up being before, I don't remember Peter Pitches. So he was probably during my time as a kid. And then you have Lee Blocker, who ended up disgracing himself, ended up going to prison. But they say Baca died. So he's from 82 until his death. So that's how Baca ended up not being the sheriff of LA anymore when he died. So let me see. So I was all the way to 98. So Sheriff Baca, so he was says Block was born to a Jewish family, says, and grew up in Chicago. So he's a grandson of a Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe. Says his grandfather had been a Chazian, I don't know what the hell that is, a Jewish musician, says, in Vilna. Is that in Germany or somewhere? Where the hell is Vilna? Let's see, what is Vilna? Lithuania. Says Block was born and raised in an Orthodox Jewish home. Says served in the U.S. military 3.5 years during World War II. Blah, blah, blah. Says Block then moved west. Says he went to Washington University in St. Louis. Says where he majored in engineering. Says before he moved to Los Angeles. Says he was first employed as a counterman. Says at a kosher daily. 56, Block joined the LA Sheriffs as a deputy sheriff. Says becoming the first deputy in the department. Says to work his way through every rank to the top. 1962, he arrested Lenny Bruce. Says for obscenity. Let's see, namely for using this term schmuck. I think schmuck is a derogatory. What is schmuck is derogatory? I don't know if it's derogatory towards you. I don't know what it is. Says Block had been sent to one of Bruce's performances by his superiors because he spoke Yiddish. Says and thus could follow Bruce's act. Says which was peppered with language. Let me see who Lenny Bruce is. Lenny Bruce, damn, he died early. They must have killed Lenny Bruce ass. Says he was renowned for his open, freewheeling, and critical style of comedy that combines satire, politics, religion, sex, and vulgarity. Says his 1964 conviction in an obscenity trial was followed by a posthumous pardon in 2003. Let me see. How did he die? They definitely killed this dude. Let me see. Or unless he was on drugs. Let's see. His death. Says he's found dead in his bathroom of his Hollywood home. Says the official photos taken at the scene showed him lying naked on the floor. Says a syringe and burned bottle cap says nearby. Says along with various other narcotic paraphernalia. Says record producer Phil Spector. Phil Spector is that murderous motherfucker. Phil Spector probably killed this fool. Says record producer Phil Spector, a friend of Bruce, brought the negatives of the photos to keep them from the press. Says the official cause of death was acute morphine poisoning caused by an overdose. The sheriffs did that shit. The sheriffs did that. Man, let me see. Let me see what else is with Lee Baca, ho ass. I mean, not Lee Baca, but Sheriff Block. There's other little controversial shit because there's other racial shit. Says boom, boom, boom. What is this? Says live action video. Says kids, blah, blah, blah. Says he held liable in a indemnification by Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors and civil rights class actions. Says for punitive damage in violation. This fool was like one of the highest paid officials. Says he died during this campaign for re-election. Says which he was expected to win. He still obtained about 1/3 of the vote. Says Lee Baca's opponent says wanted the county supervisor to appoint his successor. Block's death broke the tradition of an incumbent sheriff selecting his successor. Boom, boom. What is this? Sheriff Block's Supervisory Leadership Institute, created in 1988. They named all type of shit after his cousin. Is this person movie producer? What is this? Okay, here's during his tenure, it says he became the highest paid elected official in the United States for beating black people asses. So this is where the gang culture and the Los Angeles sheriffs developed from. It comes from this dude. Comes from this piece of shit ass dude. I keep calling this fool Lee Baca, but Sheriff Sherman Block. Well, I think Sheriff Headquarters or something's named after that dude. But folks, that's all I got on that one, man. RIP to these people that have passed away in these damn flights, man. And I can't wait till they come out with the full investigation. If they find out they're gonna definitely find out what happened. There's definitely some maintenance related shit. It'd be cold that if this damn situation ends up being a result of the same faulty shortcuts and maintenance that caused this damn accident, and them pilots to die in less than 30 seconds from fucking taking off. That's some cold-blooded shit. But that's all I got. Peace.